Hello, welcome. Now, in this video, we're going to turn NotebookLM into our marketing design studio. Assuming that you already know how to take your NotebookLM information and turn it into a marketing asset. For example, you have already created an infographic, and depending on the infographic, you may like a specific style. Once you've identified the style of infographic that you want, you're going to download that infographic to your hard drive. Now, for this process, you can create a new notebook. Once you create the new notebook, you're going to upload all of the infographic styles that you want to replicate into the new notebook. Now, we'll take time for the notebook to incorporate the visual style. So even though it takes longer than a typical source, you want to let this process complete. While we wait for the new notebook, we're going to give our notebook a name. And because this is a new notebook, we can upload as many infographic styles as we want, as long as we know that we're going to want to use them in the future. So there may be a style that we like in another notebook. We can then download that infographic as a new style. And every style that we want to upload to our style notebook, we're going to upload. Now, for the sake of this video, we're only going to have 2 new styles. However, you can have as many styles as you want. We're then going to want to get the source information. That source information can be from your Google Drive, it can be copied text, it can be another uploaded file. You just know that you want to turn this source into an infographic and you want to use NotebookLM to do it. We're going to get a random file from our Google Drive. We're then going to add that file to our new notebook. What we're going to do in this case is we're going to choose one of our infographic styles. And what we're going to do is we're going to type in to the chat area. Prompt is going to be in plain language. We're just going to state that we want to synthesize our document into an infographic. And what we want to do is we want to use infographic style number 1 in this case. And we're going to go ahead and name that as the style. Now, for good measure, we're going to pinpoint the exact document. We can go to the Rename tab and copy the document, resave it, and then we're going to make sure that the AI knows that this is the document that we want to use. Once we have our chat, we're then going to click Enter. And NotebookLM is going to tell us the rest of the process. In some cases, we may need to go into the infographic tool and actually enter a prompt. In other cases, what NotebookLM will do, as you can see here on your screen, is NotebookLM will then start to generate the infographic. It will also tell us exactly how it's going to lay out the infographic in the chat area. So in this case, we did not have to go into the infographic tool. We did everything from the chat area. We're going to stop the video now. We're going to pick it up from the creation of our infographic. And our new infographic is now complete. And as you can see, NotebookLM will then match the style. We are then going to deselect our document. We're then going to go to NotebookLM and we're going to ask NotebookLM for a prompt to put into Gemini in order to replicate the style of this infographic. We're going to ask NotebookLM for a specific prompt and we're going to ask for it in plain language and we're going to click Enter. Of course, we have the infographic style selected when we ask this question here in the chat area. And NotebookLM is going to give us the prompt. So we are going to copy this entire prompt. And we're going to head to our Google Gemini area. Now, since we have the image, we're going to go ahead and upload the image. We're now going to select the information that we want to synthesize into the infographic. We now have our document. If you have enough Pro queries left in your account for the day, you can select the Pro version. We're now going to paste in the prompt. So we've attached the image, we've attached the document, we've placed in our prompt. We've also asked for Gemini to use the attached image as a reference for style. We're then going to select Create Image. We're then going to select Enter. What should happen is Nano Banana should then load. And Gemini then replicates the style of the infographic. As an experiment, we can attempt to do the same thing with a slide presentation. If we go to the slide presentation and we attempt to download, We want to use a presentation where we can download as a PowerPoint presentation. If you have been creating presentations in the past and you've been creating them into PDF, you may not have this option available on all of your presentations. Newer presentations, which have the PowerPoint export, you will be able to do this with. We're going to download this as a PowerPoint presentation. We will then import the presentation into our Google Slide account. And so all we'll need to do is to bring the presentation in and import it. In this presentation, we're now going to create slide styles. For our new slide styles, we will go to our sources. We'll then go to our Google Drive. We will then look for our presentation. We will then add in our presentation as a new slide style. We are going to rename this presentation as a new slide style. So we now have our new slide style notebook. To go through the rest of the experiment, we need to pick up a document that we want to synthesize into a slide presentation. We now have our new document. We have our slide style. What we're now going to do is we're going to request that NotebookLM synthesize this document into the slide presentation exact style. So again, we're going to use a plain language prompt, but we're going to use the exact file names that we want to use in this case. We're going to ask that NotebookLM replicate this in a new slide presentation. We are now going to click enter. And we want to be able to determine if NotebookLM will start creating the slide presentation just based on the chat that we have placed in here in this area without us having to go into the individual slide presentation to go through the process. So NotebookLM is asking us if we would like for it to generate a slide deck. We're going to go ahead and ask for it the slide deck. And once we do that, we're then going to click enter. And NotebookLM will then begin to generate the slide deck. We're going to stop the video now, and we're going to pick it up from the creation of the slide deck. And our new experimental slide deck is now complete. And you'll see the style replicated. There are definitely elements of replication. So in this case, we're going to deselect the presentation. We're going to ask for a prompt to replicate this slide presentation in Canvas in Gemini. We're going to ask for NotebookLM to analyze the style and to give us the exact prompt that we're going to use in Gemini. And we're going to try to get closer on the colors in this part of the experiment. We're going to copy this prompt. We know we're going to have to get rid of this information. What we're then going to do is we're going to add in the presentation from our Google Drive. We're then going to add in the document that we want to synthesize into a presentation. We are going to turn on the canvas, and we are then going to paste in our prompt. We will now export the document to Google Slides. Now the final presentation is not as seamless of a process. And as you can see here, some of the slides did not come over just with our prompt. So we may need to be more specific in our prompt and more specific in the way that we need to do the prompt. It is possible to get close to the original design with minimal prompting. However, the process is not nearly as seamless as we did with the infographic styles. Okay, so thanks, and I will see you in another video.